All right, so go back to 1 Maccabees 1 and 10 now. Read that.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 10. And there came out of them a wicked root, Antiochus, surnamed Epiphanes.
Come on.
Son of Antiochus the king.
Come on.
Who had been an hostage at Rome.
Right, because even the Romans, they had kidnapped him and held him hostage in Rome. Because there was a lot going on. When you read the history, it's very vast and deep in the history. But I'm getting to these main key points of Hanukkah. Come on.
And he reigned in the 130 and 70 year.
7th year.
And 7th year of the kingdom of the Greeks.
So that's when we read earlier how the scholar said that it jumped from Alexander to Antiochus. It jumped from like 301 BC or something like that, or whenever Alexander died, until 175 BC when Antiochus came in power. Right, go ahead.
Verse 11. In those days went out of Israel wicked men.
Come on.
Who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
Now hold that. Go back to Daniel's real quick. Go back to Daniel's 11 and start at 30 and 30 again. Yeah, Daniel's 11 and 30 real quick.
Daniel chapter 11, verse 30.
Come on.
For the ships of Chittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant.
Right, meaning Antiochus would come and invade Israel, taking his anger from the Romans, kicking them out of Egypt. He would take his anger out on Israel. Come on.
So shall he do. He shall even return.
And then he would go back to Israel. Come on.
And have intelligence.
And what?
Have intelligence.
And have intelligence. Come on.
With them that forsake the holy covenant.
Right, with those that forsake the holy covenant. Now, go back to 1 Maccabees 1 and 11. He said he would have intelligence with those that forsake the holy covenant. Right, in 1 Maccabees 1:11 again.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow.
You know that if we can't beat them, join them spirit.
That's it.
Right, come on.
So this device pleased them well.
Yeah, we might as well sell out. Right, come on.
Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinance of the heathen.
Come on.
Whereupon they built a place of exercise at Jerusalem, according to the customs of the heathen.
Right, what they call a gymnasium. Right, come on.
And made themselves uncircumcised and forsook the holy covenant.
And did what?
Forsook the holy covenant.
Now read Daniel 11 and 30 again.
Daniel chapter 11 verse 30. For the ships of Chittim shall come against him. Therefore he shall be grieved and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. So shall he do. He shall even return and have intelligence with them that forsake.
That what?
That forsake.
That forsake. Come on.
The holy covenant.
Now hold that. Go back to 1 Maccabees 1:15 again.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 15. And made themselves uncircumcised.
Right, you had Israelites that was actually going through the procedure. They was going through a procedure. I forget the name of it. They speak about it in the Josephus. It was going through a procedure of making themselves uncircumcised, so they could appear as a, selling out and following the Greeks. Go ahead.
And forsook the holy covenant.
And forsook the holy covenant. There's that word forsook or forsake again. Come on.
And joined themselves to the heathen, and were sold to do mischief.
See that? So they joined themselves to the heathen and were sold to do mischief. So that's that intelligence that Antiochus had with wicked Israelites. So letting you know, for all of you that want to say is not in the Torah, that's we're not supposed to keep that. It's prophesied in the Tanakh, and now it's actually happening in the Maccabees. Right? So it's in the history. Now jump down to 1 Maccabees 1 and 41.
1 Maccabees
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 41.
Chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
There you go, New World Order, right? Same thing back then. So-called New World Order, same thing back then. Same agenda and program that the so-called white man had. The Greeks was trying to do it back then. Come on.
And everyone should leave his laws.
Especially Israel. Leave their laws. Come on.
So all the heathen agreed to the commandment of the king.
Just like now, when it says all, meaning the majority. Right? Everybody, the white man's in power now, so everybody say, oh, you know, let's follow him. You got Muslims that celebrate Christmas. You know, I keep Ramadan, but I keep Christmas too. Right? Come on.
Yeah.
Right?
Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Right, the Hellenization period. Right, go ahead, you know, show that meaning. Was in the history. Now jump down to First Maccabees 1 and 41.
First Maccabees.
First Maccabees chapter 1 and verse 41.
Chapter 1, verse 41. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people.
There you go, New World Order, right? Same thing back then. So-called New World Order, same thing back then. Same agenda and program that the so-called white man had. The Greeks was trying to do it back then. Come on.
And everyone should leave his laws.
Especially Israel. Leave their laws. Come on.
So all the heathen agreed to the commandment of the king.
Just like now, when it says all, meaning the majority. Right? Everybody, the white man's in power now, so everybody say, oh, you know, let's follow him. You got Muslims that celebrate Christmas. I keep Ramadan, but I keep Christmas too.
Right.
Right? Come on.
Yeah.
Right.
Many also of the Israelites consented to his religion.
Right, the Hellenization period. Right, go ahead, you can, show that meaning.
Okay.
Right, come on.
And sacrificed unto idols.
Unto what?
Unto idols.
Unto idols. They erected a statue of Jupiter or Zeus in the temple. Come on.
And profaned the Sabbath.
And profaned the Sabbath. We don't have to get it, but we read this last time too, I believe. But 2 Maccabees chapter 6, verses 1 to about 6. Yeah, 1 to about 6. 2 Maccabees 1. We have time. We might still get it later. Right? Because that applies to many different points. But go ahead. So verse 43, 1 Maccabees. And sacrifice unto idols.
And sacrificed unto idols.
Go ahead.
And profaned the Sabbath.
Right. They set up the statue of Jupiter, like I said, Zeus, in the temple. Come on.
For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land.
Come on.
And forbid burnt offerings and sacrifice and drink offerings.
Right. See that's the main job of these other nations, mainly Esau, to get us away from the laws of the Most High, because they know once we sin against the Most High, we have no more power. Right. Come on.
In the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and feastable days.
Right, so we shall not keep the Sabbath and feast days. Come on.
And pollute the sanctuary and holy people.
Come on.
Set up altars and groves and chapels of idols.
Come on.
And sacrifice swine's flesh.
Sacrifice what?
Swine's flesh.
Come on.
And unclean beasts.
Right, sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts. And we read that in the commentary. We read in Daniel's, the Compact Bible Commentary, Nelson's, I keep calling it Zondervan's, my bad. Nelson's Compact Bible Commentary. It tells you how Antiochus set up the pig and he set up the statue of Zeus or Jupiter. Right, come on.
That they should also leave their children uncircumcised.
Come on.
And make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanness and
profanation.
Profanation.
Right, that they would make themselves uncircumcised and unclean with all profanation. Right, so jump down to 54.
Verse 50. 1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 54. Now, the 15th day of the month,
Caslu, or Kislev in the Babylonian, right? Go ahead. Which is the 9th month? Go ahead.
In the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar.
Go ahead.
And built idols according throughout the cities of Judah.
And they did what?
Build idol altars throughout the cities of Judah.
Now go back to now go back to Daniel's 11 and 31.
Daniel chapter 11, verse 31. And arms shall stand on his part, and they shall pollute the sanctuary of truth. It's like the sanctuary. And they shall pollute the sanctuary of strength.
Right, we just read all that in verses 41 to 48. Come on.
And shall take away the daily sacrifice.
Go ahead.
And they shall place the abomination that maketh desolation.
It said they would take away the daily sacrifice and place the abomination that maketh desolate. Go back to 1 Maccabees 1:54. See that? So for all you that say it's prophesied in Daniel. It's prophesied that the Feast of Dedication would be set up, or the history of Hanukkah and how it happened would actually happen. 1 Maccabees 1:54 again.
1 Maccabees chapter 1, verse 54. Now, the 15th day of the month, Caslu.
Come on.
In the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and built idol altars throughout the cities of Judah.
Come on
every side, and burnt incense.
So there you go, the abomination. They set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar and built idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side. So they was putting swine's flesh on an altar. They put up a statue of Zeus, and they put up statues and groves and chapels and different altars to burn swine's flesh throughout all the city. So there you go, Daniel's 11:31 fulfilled right there in 1 Maccabees 1:54. Right? So go ahead, read on, 55.
Verse 55. And burnt incense at the door of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the books of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire.
Right, they was burning Bibles and burning Torahs, the book of the, you're going to see that now.
Oh.
Right, they're going to be destroying Bibles in these last days. Right, come on.
And wheresoever was found with any the book of the testament, or if any consented to the law, the king's commandment was that they should put him to death.
Same thing now. Anybody, when they really fully implement this new world order,
Right.
anybody proclaiming this truth, you want to be put to death. Or, you know, your life is going to be in danger. Yahweh Shah said we're going to be tried. But in Revelations 2:10 it says, be faithful unto death,
Right.
and he'll give us a crown of life. Come on.
Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities.
Come on.
Now the 25th day of the month.
Now this verse right here is very important. Right? This 1 Maccabees 1:59, this is very important. Mark this and note this, brothers and sisters, because this is going to be a very important verse later on. 1 Maccabees 1:59 again.
1 Maccabees chapter 1 verse 59. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the altar, the idol altar, which was upon the altar of our power.
Come on.
At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised.
Come on.
And they hanged the infants about their necks and ripped their rifled their houses and slew them that had circumcised them.
Right, so when you read another account of this story in 2 Maccabees, they killed these two women's children and hung the children around their necks and made them march through the city to show any other Israelite that if you circumcise your child, this was going to happen to your child. So Esau's a vicious bastard, man. Right? Go ahead. But it was an example. That's why they had, in the ancient time, they had public lynchings of us,
right,
to show the rest of our people, nigga, don't get out of line or this will happen to you. And you could behave and we'll still do this to you.
Still in that fear.
Right, instilling that fear in them, right? So when you read this same account of the story is in 2 Maccabees, but it goes deeper of how the babies was hung around the women's neck and the women was made to march through the street with the dead babies hung around their neck to show the rest of the Israelite women they better not circumcise their children. Right, so go ahead. It's somewhere in 2 Maccabees. I'll try to get the chapter before we close. Go ahead.
Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing.
Come on.
Wherefore, they chose rather to die,
right,
that they might not be defiled with meat.
Come on.
And that they may not profane the holy covenant. So then they died.
Right, 2 Maccabees, the 7th chapter. Right, perfect example. Come on.
And they were very great wrath. And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
Right, very great wrath upon Israel. Right, so basically giving you the history of what was going to happen to us as a people. Right, so just read 2 and 1.
1 Maccabees chapter 2 verse 1. In those days arose Matthias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the son of Jorib from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin.
Now this is the father of the Maccabees rising up with his sons at this time, saying, and when you read down in chapter 2, they said we're not going to bow down to the Greeks' commandment. And this is when the Maccabean revolt starts. The fight against the Greeks starts through this great Levite brother by the name of Matthias that rose up with his 5 sons and started the Maccabean revolt to fight against the Greeks. Read up real quick. Let's get a list of his sons.
And he had 5 sons. Jonan, called
Cadus.
Simon, called Dasi.
Come on.
Judas, who was called Maccabees.
Right, now this is Judas Maccabees, one of the most famous Israelite warriors in history. Maccabees comes from the Hebrew word makwabath, which means a hammer, because they said Judas was like a hammer. He inflicted hammer-type blows upon his enemies. Go ahead.
Eleazar, called
Avaran,
and Jonathan, whose surname was
Aphas.
Right.
So basically, this is chapter 2 is going into the rise of the Maccabean revolt, which eventually leads to chapter 4, which Judas, after his father's death, he takes over the army of Israel and he defeats the Greeks. Right. So jump down to 22. First Maccabees 3:22.
First Maccabees chapter 2, verse 22. We will not hearken to the king's word to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left.
Right, you go. We don't have to get it, but Isaiah 30:20 says the same thing. We don't budge from the Most High. We're not going to budge from the Most High word in these last days to the right hand or to the left. So now, after chapter 2, after Matthias Maccabees dies, chapter 3, Judas Maccabees takes over from his father and starts to fight the war and continue the war against the Greeks that his father started. So now we're gonna go to First Maccabees 4, and let's get let me see. First Maccabees 4. And let's start at 1.
First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 1. Then took
Gorgias
5,000 footmen and 1,000 of the best horsemen, and removed out of the camp by night, to the end he might rush in upon the camp of the Jews and smite them suddenly.
Yeah, the Esau like to catch you when you're sleeping or at night, right? Come on, sneak attack. Right, go ahead.
And then, and the men of the fortress were his guides.
Come on.
Now, when Judas heard thereof, he himself removed, and the valiant men with him.
Right, the brave men with him. Come on.
That he might smite the king's army, which was at
Emmaus. Go ahead.
While as yet the forces were dispersed from the camp. In the mean season came Gorgias by night into the camp of Judas. And when he found no man there, he sought them in the mountains, for he said, these fellows flee from us.
Right, jump down to 15.
First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 15. Howbeit all the hindmost of them were slain with the sword, for they pursued them until Gezerah, and until the plain of Idumea, of Azotus and Jamnia, so that there were slain of them upon 3,000 men. This done, Judas returned again with his host from pursuing them.
Right, so this done, Judas returned again with his host from pursuing them. So now, right here, Judas defeats one of the main generals of the Seleucid army, Gorgias. And now once he defeats him, he's going to go into Jerusalem and now cleanse the temple. So jump down to verse 24. I want to get a point here. Verse 24.
First Maccabees chapter 4, verse 24. After this, they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Most High in heaven, because it was good, because his mercy endureth forever.
Right, so go to Psalms 136. So it said they sung a song. Right, what was that song that they sung? Right? Was it Drake, Lil Wayne? Right?
Psalms chapter 136, verse 1. Give thanks unto the Most High, for he is good, for his mercy endureth forever.
Read the last verse, 26.
Psalm chapter 136, verse 26. Oh, give thanks unto the Most High of heaven, for his mercy endureth forever.
Right, so the song or the psalm that they were singing was Psalms 136. So now go back to 1 Maccabees 4:24.
1 Maccabees chapter 4, verse 24. After this they went home and sung a song of thanksgiving and praised the Most High in heaven.
Right, so this is true thanksgiving right here. Right, our true thanksgiving should be giving the Most High thanks for the Hanukkah, for the rededication of our temple and the defeating of the Greeks. Right, go ahead.
Because it is good.
Read.
Because his mercy endureth forever.
Right, Psalms 136. So after they won the battle over Gorgias and this wicked Greek army, they went and sung a song of thanksgiving to the Most High.